First, I'm still getting over the virus that have impacted the world for 3 years, so forgive me if I am sniffly. And I don't know if you can hear that, but my sinuses are leaking. So, it's Beatty. Today we are going over my third attempt with PRP. So, before I get into it, if you want to support me, I have a Patreon where I'm trying to post twice a month a curation of all my posts from Reddit and actionable steps that you can take for penis enlargement. Obviously, you do not need it if you're able to do the searching on your own, but Reddit's search sucks, so that's there for you. Peak male physique for penis enlargement aids that are not needed but can help. Finally, we have Leviathan Sups, where you can order Vigor online and eventually on Amazon. Actually, it is on Amazon, but we just shipped some off to the Amazon Fulfillment Center, so it's going to be down for a couple of days, but it will be up soon for your enjoyment. Now that's out of the way. Some of you may know I have tried PRP 3 times now. The first time was unsuccessful because I had an allergic reaction to lidocaine, which developed a lesion on my skin that took 6 weeks to heal without PE, because what was happening is I tried to keep doing PE, penis enlargement, and essentially I'll just keep ripping open the same little wound over and over again, so it would never set. So I had to take 6 weeks off of penis enlargement, botching that experiment from the beginning. So after my second treatment, I was able to stick to my routine for 6 weeks. I got pretty good results from it. However, it's inconclusive because basically I gained back what I lost from the original issue I had with the first round of PRP. So it's inconclusive. Which brings us to the third trial, which if you've kept up with my latest video, you would know I've had a lot of personal things come up where I was unable to do PE for an extended period of time. And if you care exactly what I went through, it will be booped up here. So the final nail in the coffin was me catching COVID, which basically caused my erection quality to tank because you're unable to breathe when you have COVID, thus destroying any gains that I've made from PRP in that time. But even though I've had relatively bad luck with PRP, I think I can come to some reasonable conclusions on it. Premise is that in your blood, there are a bunch of little cells called platelets. These platelets are used for wound healing. Inside of these cells, there are a crap ton of growth factors to facilitate healing. If we extract these platelets, then extract the hormones inside these platelets by using a high salinity solution to cause these cells to rupture, and then inject it into a target area, we can see rapid regeneration and potential hypertrophy of the soft tissue in that area. And then with the chronic stress that you have from from the chronic stress that you have from penis enlargement, so that would be your traction therapy and pumping mainly, you can see relatively quick tissue accrual due to mechanostat theory of growth. Now, the procedure itself is very simple. It takes about an hour to an hour and a half to perform. It's just local anesthetic, so you want to be able to feel your dick afterwards for about an hour or two. But other than that, you can use your dick the same day. I should just say penis. You can reconvene your normal penis activities on the same day, as long as you don't have obsessive bruising or swelling. The idea of PRP as a medical procedure has been around for a decade or two now, but probably in the past 5 to 10 years, we've seen it being used for erectile dysfunction. And then some doctors realized that a lot of their patients were seeing obscene growth beyond baseline. So they started marketing it for penis enlargement. So let's talk about what I have experienced. First, there was an increase in sensitivity. Now, I didn't have an issue with sensitivity to begin with, but I did notice a noticeable increase in sensitivity. And this was after the first and second injection. On the third injection, I did not notice it. So I would assume my nerves were fully primed, if that makes sense. So I would not see any benefit from the extra dosage afterwards. Second, increase in vascularity. Now, I lost about 15 pounds of fat in the past 6 months. So that could be a decent portion of it, as because my heart's healthier, I'm able to have healthier cardiovascular system, create more pressure in my penis and make it more vascular. But that being said, when I get highly aroused, it is scary looking. Third, increase in length and girth, particularly on the second shot. Realistically, it was about 1/3 of an inch and then about 1/4 of an inch in girth in about 6 weeks. Considered inconclusive because there was a bit of gain back on of my lost size. So I don't know the exact efficacy of it, but according to some forums, people have made better gains than that in a similar time frame. So consider that as you will. Fourth, increased tissue density. So what I mean by that is that the blood holding tissue of my penis filled in more. That means I would hold more blood, my penis would feel denser because of this. Long story short is that my dick just got heavier feeling over the past 5 months, which that on its own will make you feel much bigger to your partner because you don't compress as much. Secondly, your tunica is pushed out farther than it would be previously, so that would make your erection just bigger in general. However, there will be a point where your tunica cannot be stretched anymore, and that's when you would probably see a stagnation in changes in size. And I'll touch more on that in a bit. Actually, I'll touch more on it right now. I was talking to one of my clients about this, and he said something along the lines of after the 3rd shot of PRP, he did not notice a change in size, but his wife felt that he was thicker. So, as I said before, your density is changing, you're getting more blood holding tissue, but since the tunica and most connective tissues in your body are so slow healing, that will always be the bottleneck when it comes to this kind of body reformation, if we're going to give it a formal term. And this is because there is not an active blood supply in most connective tissues throughout the body. So you are beholden to how quickly your body, or that connective tissue, the tunica albuginea in this case, can intake nutrients. Knowing this and understanding how quickly these blood vessel developments happen, I would recommend you do not schedule more than 3 shots in a year period. 3 shots meaning 3 procedures in a year period. And this is because you're going to build up a lot of blood holding tissue in this time period. But there's no point in building up more blood holding tissue if you can't stretch out your tunica more, because A, either you need it to be more flexible, or B, you just need more of it to continue seeing gains. And during your 6 to 12 weeks with PRP in your system, you would want to focus predominantly on pumping, basically increasing the capacity of your blood holding tissue as much as you can in that time. And then 6 months beforehand, your procedure should predominantly be on length and tunica malleability, which is a bunch of bends causing the tunica to become more flexible and grow a little bit in that time period. Grow a little bit, I would say you can grow probably about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of new tunica tissue in that time period. Now, I'm talking about stuff that is mostly in theory. I could be completely wrong, but from my understanding in the basics of soft tissue repair, that connective tissue is going to be your limiting factor. So anyway, and again, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a straight dude that thinks about dick way too much. So consider other opinions before you listen to this meathead online. But I'm relatively confident that's what's happening. You're building up more blood holding tissue faster than you are building up new tunica albuginea. So you're going to see a stagnation in gains, but you're going to see a much denser erection after the 3rd shot. So it wouldn't necessarily be size, but there will be beneficial improvements for your sex life. Your success with PRP comes down to 3 things mainly. 1, and this is by far the most important, if your doctor activates the PRP beforehand. When I say activate, that's when we cause them to burst using that high salinity solution I was talking about to release these growth factors. This will cause your body to continuously flood that area with new platelets for a month straight. So instead of just being dosed with a bunch of platelets at once, you get a storm of platelets for a month at a time. So that's probably paramount in actual tissue accrual. I've had one client say that he did not see any gains from his PRP at first because they did not activate it. So, not necessarily because they did not activate it, but he told me that they did not go through the activation step. In my opinion, that's why it failed. Second, your yield of PRP needs to be relatively high. Your doctor should take out 60 to 120 milliliters of blood. And then that would constitute about 10 to 30 milliliters of PRP. So the more PRP you inject, the greater the response will be. However, that's going to lead to more bruising and swelling in the area. Now, the swelling is a catch-22. It makes you bigger instantly, but it goes away while you're building up this new tissue. And part of this is that the inflammation response is part of the growth response because platelets signal some swelling in the area. On my third shot, important to note that I had no swelling whatsoever compared to my first and second. So that might be another sign that it's effective. We need to see more community evidence, I'm going to call it, if that's actually the case. Number 3, your own adherence to penis enlargement practices after the procedure. This would be like taking anabolic steroids, that is, without weightlifting. Yeah, you'll see rapid improvements at first, but after, say, the first month or two, you won't see any changes in your physique. So, for best results, long term, you're going to be wanting to work out. Further, did I even come out right? So for best results long term, you would want to be working out at the beginning and continuously do progressive overload as you are on this substance. Same idea with PRP. Otherwise, I would say it's a waste of money. Now, would I do this again? Probably. But like I said, you want to space these out because there seems to be diminishing rate of return after 3 shots. After your 3rd shot, you probably want to wait at least a year, maybe 2 years before you go back again, because you want to have more connective tissue than you do blood holding tissue. There's going to be a ratio that you want to hit before you go in to max out your current erection capacity. I'm throwing out a bunch of terms that do not exist in this video. There are other types of PRP you can try. There is placental stem cell PRP, which is essentially they take the stem cells from placenta and use that instead. That is much more potent than your current platelets. However, there's some ethics behind that. Personally, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable taking someone else's stem cells and injecting them into my own body, but that's neither here or there. And then there's also platelet-rich fibrin, and that's a very specific kind of PRP where it basically takes the growth factors for structural changes. So like when you get a cut, you're gonna have like these fuzzy spots. I have a big ass cut here. There's gonna be fuzzy like collagen, not even collagen, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but there's gonna be like this stiff soft tissue, and that's what's gonna be building up new masses to connect old tissue. That's platelet-rich fibrin. And if I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting better results from this, but I also think my circumstances are more to blame than the procedure itself. The science is sound, but there's always going to be a human elephant. There's always going to be a human element when it comes to this kind of stuff for any cosmetic procedure, whether that be your doctor's practices and then how you treat the area afterwards. That wraps this one up. Patreon for curated content. Peak Male Physique for penis enlargement needs that are not needed can help. LevineSups.com for best bang for your buck pre-workouts and other substances coming soon. And then also on Amazon. This is BD signing off.